So the final episode for Primal Season 3 has officially released, and I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. During the whole show, I was unsure if I was going to make any videos about this season because, I just didn't know if I had too much to say. But after the final episode, at the very least, I have a little bit to say, so we're just going to go ahead and talk about it right here. Now, I want to start off by saying that I really like Primal. I was basically hooked from the very first season all those years ago. I will say that I think season one is my favorite season of the show. I just like how it was really an anthology series where it's like each episode was its own self contained story, just a simple story of Spear and Fang trying to survive this very deadly and brutal world. And also, might I add, the world is just very insane and very interesting. It's like the quintessential idea of a melting pot world. You have like a ton of Cenozoic creatures, you have Mesozoic creatures, you have fantasy creatures. It is a wild world. Like, it's insane. So, yeah, the first season was really an anthology. The second season kind of did away with that and more so streamlined it, made it a bit more linear to the point where you're following a self contained story that takes place over the course of the entire season. Obviously, that season ended with Spear dying, which is something I was pretty sad about because I really liked Spear. I liked his story, I liked his character. It was unfortunate to see him go like that. But I do like the way that he went was defending his friend, that being Fang. I thought that was like a very nice touch. It was a nice way to round out that character arc that essentially started off in season one. I didn't find the ending too satisfying though. It was nice to see that Spear's lineage continued with his daughter, even though the circumstances in which that daughter came to be were interesting. But yeah, no, that it wasn't like the greatest ending. It wasn't a bad ending by any stretch of the imagination, but it certainly wasn't the greatest. And, I think that the initial thought after that season was to turn this show into a sort of anthology series, where you get to follow different characters in this very brutal world of Primal. I think the whole intention was to just show off the world more so than just to stick with a certain cast of characters. But I think that Gendy also agreed that the ending wasn't too satisfying because he brought Spear back in the form of a zombie. Now, I'm not going to go through too many details about this. This is not a full on review. This is more so just my personal thoughts of mostly just like the final episodes, but I'm going to be referencing things that happened over the course of the season. Now, Spear was brought back, and I was on the fence about that. It was interesting to see that, like, because again, I had it in my mind because I heard somewhere, I can't find it anywhere, but I heard somewhere that Gendy did say that this was just going to be an anthology show and that we were done with Spear and Fang, and obviously his death uh kind of cemented that. Well, I was surprised in the first trailers to see that Spear was back as a zombie, and I was really unsure about how I would like this because that just felt very interesting. It's like, okay, by this point, just let the man rest, okay? So over the course of the season, we follow Spear as he slowly tries to regain what he used to be. He is currently a husk of his former self. He has really no memory of his previous life, just vague images and sounds that he recognizes. Over the course of the show, we watch him as he slowly learns about the world around him and who he was previously. And there's a lot of moments that I really liked out of that. I liked when when he's surrounded by lions, for example, he thinks of a moment of him and Fang running away, and he was like, I need to run here. And then he takes off. Or just like finding moments where he's like, okay, this is where I fight. Or I like when he sees something that he recognizes, but he doesn't understand why he recognizes it. Like he comes across a grasshopper that looks like Fang. It has the same coloration that Fang had. And again, he doesn't know why exactly he's drawn to it. He just knows that he recognizes it. So in his mind, he's like, I need to protect this. And so, like, for a huge portion of the episode, he's over here protecting this grasshopper. That eventually leads him to getting captured by like these blind cave dwellers that want to eat him, and they even eat a lot of his hand. But at that point, he's like saved by the grasshopper, and eventually the grasshopper dies, which was very sad. because he does a burial, like he puts it underneath some rocks. It was very sad stuff, but I liked that. I liked watching Spear grow. Essentially, it was like he was given a blank slate and he was just slowly trying to figure out who he was. Again, he had vague images of who he was, and he even had like I believe dreams of his former self, just kind of like compared to him. And he's like, okay, this is who I was. And over the course of the story, he eventually learns that that's who he was, and he just becomes more and more like his former self. Now obviously there's moments where he encounters Mira and the baby Rexes and Fang absolutely does not trust him. That's another huge part of the show, and it's likely because he smells dead or smells like a zombie. Now, I'm wondering if the reason why she doesn't trust him is mainly because of the zombie part. They have technically encountered a zombie before with the giant zombie Argentinosaurus in the Plague of Madness episode. So maybe she's just like, she smells that on him, and that's why she didn't trust him at all. I just thought it was really interesting. Well, eventually, Spear is pushed out on his own. Fang doesn't trust him. He eventually gets back to the village where Mira and everybody lived, and before he gets to meet his baby, he is chased out of the village. And so he's left on his own. He encounters these interesting race of warrior people who seem to like to do a bit of a gladiator sporting event where their best warrior fights an outsider. And in this case, Spear happened to be that outsider that unfortunately stumbled upon the arena. Well, he fights the warrior, and Spear is essentially immortal. He's still a zombie, so he beats the warrior, and he takes that title as like the best warrior. And like the reward for it is a crown and the black goo that we saw from like the first season of Primal. He gets to drink that, and of course, he gets all powerful from it. And he started to like this. He liked beating the new warriors that would come in. He would beat them quite easily, oftentimes, and he liked the black goo. Over time, the black goo does heal him, and he's starting to look more and more like his former self. Just a little bit different, though. Because of course he already was dead. But that was really interesting to see. And then eventually he decides to go back to the village and he sees his daughter. And then he becomes obsessed with the idea that he has a daughter. So, he used to get a fix from these gladiator fights, but that wasn't doing it anymore. Now he was like looking at his opponents and looking at things on them that kind of reminded him of his daughter, like hair or a specific part of a staff. And he like made a little bit of a toy that he could like give his daughter one day, and he's like all excited to eventually meet her. He's all happily drawing on the cave walls, which is a hint that he's getting back to his normal self, because of course he used to draw on cave walls when he was actually Spear. And it was just nice. I don't know what it was about it, just him slowly becoming more and more excited at the idea that he gets to be a father again, even though he might just still have vague memories of even being a father at all. I don't know, it was just I quite like that. And then all of that culminates into like he leaves the warrior race for good, something they were not too happy about. And then he links up with the group again. He was already chased out by them. Mira, she always trusted him. She always saw that it was Spear. She was frustrated at the fact that he didn't remember anything, but she did always, she at least held on to hope that Spear was still in there somewhere. And when he finally comes across them after Fang was just beaten senselessly by a weird looking creature, like a badger creature, I think, were badger, I don't know. He finds them, he follows blood and he finds them, and the first thing he says is Mira, which really confirms it to us that Spear is back. And again, it took a while for us to get there. Now, obviously, I mentioned that the warrior people did not like the fact that he took off like that, and so they kidnap all of them. They give the black goo to Mira, the baby Rexes, and Fang, and they're all forced to fight each other, which was very stressful. Even though I knew all of them survived because of the ending of season 2, it was still incredibly stressful. To which Spear has to try to stop them from killing each other and eventually cure them of the black goo. And he saves his daughter. And yeah, this all leads to a happy ending. It leads to a happy ending, which is something that I thought was kind of impossible for Spear at this point because, he was kind of too busy being dead. We jump again to that same ending that we got at the end of season 2. And we see the same shots that we saw where Mira's standing there, her daughter's riding one of the baby tyrannosaurs, and they roar at the screen all dramatically. But this time it's been extended, and Spear walks in. And that is the official ending to Spear's story, I assume. And I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too sentimental right now, but I like this ending a lot, especially a man who went through as much that Spear went through a lot. He went through a lot. His whole family was completely obliterated by saber-toothed cats, like his when he was younger, and then his wife and children, they were killed by tyrannosaurs, and then he himself died. So it was always just kind of sad in a way. But now, you know, he basically got a second chance and now he's back and it's a happy ending. I don't know, I liked it. And again, it's this ending that inspired me to make this video because I don't know, there was just something about it that fills my heart with joy. Maybe I just really like the character of Spear and I really feel bad of for everything that he went through. It was just nice. In addition to that, when, the daughter was still a baby, there was this nice moment where Spear goes into, like, the area where Fang and her offspring are sleeping, and he sleeps with Fang like he used to. And, Fang, obviously, she trusts him now because he doesn't smell like a zombie anymore. And, Mira comes in, and the baby, and like, the 2 baby tyrannosaurs, and they all sleep together. For a world that is so brutal, like the world of Primal, it's just nice to see moments where that's not happening, where you get to just, like, see the humanity in these characters, even the humanity in a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I don't know, maybe it's something that the world needs right now, and that's why I'm so happy about it. So, this is I apologize, I know this is mostly just a rambling video, but, I still like season 1 the most, but this season I thought was really good. Like, I thought it was pretty special overall. It was kind of slow in a few areas, and maybe some people are upset about the fact that it took a while for Spear to get to the point that he did, but I think I liked it. I think I liked this season overall. I think I give it a solid 8 out of 10, even if that ranking is mostly based off of the final episode. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think of the season? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. And I do appreciate you guys watching this video and hearing me ramble on for a little bit. Um, yeah, I'm happy that I found like I had something to talk about with this show because, each episode was going by and just nothing came to mind. So it's kind of unfortunate, but yeah, I like the show. I like the season. It was a good season. That's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching and have an awesome day.